Microsoft's making its Xbox console slower on purpose. I'll fully admit, that's a saucy intro, but it's true. Microsoft is intentionally making its boot times on its consoles slower, which is interesting because earlier in last year, if I remember correctly, I think it was early 2022, they actually made their boot times faster by shortening up some animations, but now Microsoft has had a change of thought, and they're making things slower. So Microsoft announced something interesting yesterday, what they are saying, Xbox is now the first carbon-aware console. So if you're not familiar, dumping carbon into the atmosphere is not good for the atmosphere, and Microsoft's trying to do its part with its console gaming. Now, overall at the company, they're trying to reduce their carbon footprint through using like hydroelectric dams, wind energy, solar, and all that kind of stuff. And so they've also made some changes on Windows as well about how it updates and try to reduce the carbon footprint of installing Windows updates. And now it has trickled down to the Xbox console. So Microsoft announced this week that yesterday I should say, Xbox insiders will notice that their Xbox Series X and S consoles automatically update to shut down to save energy. Now, you have two options. You have a standby and a shutdown. And so what this means is that by default, Microsoft is turning off the standby functionality and making everybody use the shutdown functionality. So in practice, what this really means is that your boot times are going to take longer because the console is in a deeper state of sleep, really. I mean, it's not never off. I mean, shutdown and off are two different things. Shutdown just means in a super low power state, and off means you've probably unplugged it from the wall. So your boot time is going to be about 15 seconds by default. And honestly, who cares? Like, I have actually both of my Xbox Series S and X in the shutdown state for a while now, and you don't notice a difference. If you're like myself, typically I'll go pick up the controller, hold down the button, go find my headset, and by the time my butt is on the couch, it's already on the dashboard and has been for a while. Because typically my kid hides something and I can't find out where my headset is. Either way, this is actually going to have a pretty significant impact on the overall grid. Now, Microsoft is also saying, because I was concerned about this as well initially, that this will not affect console's ability to update. Now, many of you, like myself, probably have your console update overnight, which is the best way to do it, so it doesn't impact your gaming. And it's a smart feature and functionality from the Xbox console, something that Windows can do as well. Now, this is not going to impact it. Microsoft very specifically made it so that even when it's in a shutdown state, that's why I said it's not off, it's in a shutdown state, you can still get your game updates, you can still get your app updates, you can still get your desktop or your OS updates as well during the off hours or the shutdown period overnight. Now, Microsoft's also making changes to that because, hey, when in Rome, right? Typically, you would think the best time to update is overnight, right? Because, hey, it's overnight, not many people are online, everything is good, 3 a.m., not all of us are gaming at that hour. But the reality is that renewable energy also isn't always at a peak at that hour, including solar and wind typically do better when the earth is warmer. That's just, you have currents and you have sunlight, and that's just kind of how it works. So there's also going to be options that are going to change when and how you get updates based on your renewable energy, and Microsoft is doing some fanciness on the back end to help better understand that. And to take it even a step further, which I think this is a really smart move from Microsoft, they're also looking at enabling active hours as well. So on your Series, I believe S and X, not the older Xbox One console, but only on the newer generation, it actually knows mostly when you use your console. Like myself, typically between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. at night is traditionally when I'm going to play. So during those hours, your console can actually go back into that standby mode. And then when you're outside your typical active window, then it goes back into that lower power shutdown state. And Microsoft is making some big claims here about how much power it can actually save. But the one thing you've got to remember here with this is that on a single console level, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. But when you have millions of these consoles out in the world, making this change is actually a pretty good move for planet Earth. So it's one that you can't really feel too bad about, that Microsoft is actively making your boot time slower, because at the end of the day, we all kind of need the planet to survive, not for just ourselves, but our offspring and future generations ahead. So Microsoft officially claims that when you're using shutdown, it's using up to 20 times less than compared to sleep. So either sleep wasn't all that off, which is what it sounds like, and then shutdown is obviously a couple steps ahead. So just overall good stuff for Team Xbox here, just making your consoles a little bit more green. And reminder, that's by default. You can go and override this setting if for some reason you need this thing always on. But again, just kind of really think about if you truly do, because I would consider myself a pretty astute gamer, and I haven't noticed really anything from going to shutdown rather than sleep. Like, it just, Microsoft has done a good job here. So that is a good thing. Now, there's a couple other updates that are floating out there. One thing that I did find interesting is all of Microsoft screenshots that they used for this demo and everything else. They're still using the new dashboard. We're starting to see a few more dashboard updates trickle out. We'll see when these start to make their way to everybody, but now there's a new recent party chat option, so it makes it easier to go into your recent party chats. Obviously, they haven't done much yet with the dashboard overall, which is something I was looking for in their actual images, but either way, as those things come out, make sure to keep you updated. And if you want to stay updated on everything else happening in the world of Xbox, make sure to keep it subscribed here, because the only BS on this channel is me.